So, you know, you've got a dump valve, well, that adds half a tune, and an intake, that adds half a tune. So does that make one tune? What does that mean? Nothing. But that's okay, because that's what we all abide by these days. Guys, welcome to my humble abode. It's me, Grant, in the garage, tackling subpolar conditions today, hence why I'm dressed like, well, some sort of post-box excavator. What I wanted to touch on today was something that I have already done in one of my more personal videos that I did for the forum modified Abarth, because, as I said to you before, I was doing a lot of videos on there before I decided to make it a YouTube thing. Today is about stage tuning. Does tuning in stages actually work? Or more to the point, does it actually exist? So there has been a place for stage tuning for VAGs, VW Audi Group, for anyone that doesn't know that, and Fords for quite some time. And there has always been that very definitive, this is stage 1, that is stage 2, that is stage 3, you need an intercooler or an exhaust or an intake or whatever the case may be to warrant getting the next remap, and then you get more power from it. Now, this has been a bit of a go-to thing for a lot of Ford tuning and a lot of VAG tuning, and for good reason, because it gives you aspirations. Well, where's the car headed now? Well, I've got to save up the money and do an intercooler and injectors or whatever the case may be for stage 3. Now, let's take this stage tuning to the Abarth community, and it all falls apart. We have got people quoting all manner of stages. It had no sense whatsoever. You've got people quoting stage 2 as being intercooler and a remap, or you've got people quoting stage 2 as an exhaust and a remap. You've got other people quoting stage 3 as a big turbo upgrade, whereas other people quote stage 3 as like an intake and a map and an intercooler. There is no continuity in this at all. As a direct result, when someone messages and says, I've got stage 2, it means jack. Because if I had a Focus RS out there, which would be very nice if anyone would like to donate one, and I said it was stage 2, that means something. Yes, each car maps up slightly differently, but it would mean I had X amount of power. With an Abarth, stage 2 could be, oh, I applied these nice little wind effectors, and I put a Dice air freshener in the centre. So that makes it stage 2. Honestly, I'm sick to the back teeth of it, and I would, as a direct result, what it basically has shown us is that there's no continuity, meaning that it's all done by individual personnel at their own company, meaning that it physically has no reference. So it's just a commercial opportunity to try and drill people out of more money. So hopefully with the all-knowing, all-seeing eye of Google, I can prove to you my point quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is search Abarth 500 Stage 2. Oh, and there it is. See, I come prepared, you know, as they say. A failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So if we pop that in there, I will be able to very quickly show you exactly what I mean. So Stage 2, the reason I've gone for Stage 2 is because Stage 1, as most people know, will always just be a basic remap. That being the case, you're not going to get a huge amount of difference between them other than whether it's plug-in or custom, and people are going to quote different figures. Stage 2 is where it is up for debate. So I can immediately see the issue. So if we look here, the first one being Celtic Tuning. They've been around for some time, relatively reputable. However, 32% torque with Stage 2 ECU remap on a Abarth 500 1.4 turbo, 135 horsepower. So Stage 2 in their eyes. Let's have a look what is required for Stage 2. So fundamentally, the importance of my video now relies entirely on my internet speed. Whoop-de-doo. So let's have a little look-see here. So what does it suggest? So Stage 1, we've got the difference there, and we've got Stage 2. Right, so I've obviously had to cut a bit. I've been looking for some time here, and here lies the problem. So Stage 2 should be an additional piece of hardware. Tells you actually what you get on here. However, unless I am somewhat mistaken, there is not an immediate box saying Stage 2 requires you to put an additional piece of hardware on there. For example, an exhaust or intake or dump valve or anything.
Very good. I can see if I can tune my tractor. Anyway, moving on. So, Stage 2. So that was just a basic Stage 2 there. Stage 2 from TMC Motorsport is what they call a Stage 2 course complete turbo conversion. So I know that turbo there, which I can't stretch, but I know that turbo there to be a TD04 turbo. That will be, there's another one down here. So that will be a 13T or a 14T capable of making up to 270 horsepower. So that's a turbo conversion. So no matter where your car started, that then becomes a turbo conversion for Stage 2. Confusing, you might think. Come down to here. So Stage 2 from BR Performance. Exhaust system with sport catalyst, intercooler and an individual remap on their 4x4 rolling road. Well, it'll be very bloody handy, seeing as you've only got two wheels driving it. But nonetheless, that is the sort of thing I expect to see. Sports cat intercooler, and then you've got a remap on top. We come down further here. Stage 3 from AET Motorsport is a hybrid package. So most people see that an aftermarket turbo is after a hybrid turbo because the hybrid turbo works as a bolt-on option. But we can see here that then becomes Stage 3. We then go to JF Automotive. I think it's JFA for short. They have 1, 2 and 3 packages available upon request. And as we can see, as we fiddle down here, now this is multi-edge tuning. This is slightly different. However, we've got Stage 2 here. That's different. That's referring to the RON of the fuel. And now we've got here my Abarth now with 172 horsepower. And that, so that is a Stage 2, it would seem, because ECU chip S was 1. So they had the full exhaust. Can you see my point?
Guys, I've come to a conclusion, and I think it's a nice sort of tidy wrap up for the video. Yes, the more astute members of the audience will notice that I am indeed wearing different clothes. It is a different day, and the reason I've taken my time over this is because I felt that whilst I may have gone on a bit of a rant earlier, there is a genuine point at hand, and I felt that it deserved an honest conclusion. So my conclusion is such that some of the most iconic cars for modifying and tuning, Toyota Supras, Mazda RX-7s, you're looking at most of the Hondas that you can do naturally aspirated upgrades and turbochargers and things like that. Some of the older Skylines, R32, R33, R34 GTR. These cars don't come with stage options. You put bolt-on mods, you do turbocharging upgrades, you do ECUs and injectors and fuel pumps and transmission upgrades and things like that, and there's not a stage in sight. What do? And this is what my suggestion is for anyone out there that has not got a simple solution to a stage. Just quote a power figure. Back when people quoted power figures, it meant something. How much power is your car? 400 horsepower. Nice. We know what 400 horsepower means. You can work out power to weight. You can work out specific capacity, so the amount of horsepower your car is making per litre. You could even work out how much horsepower your car is making per cylinder. These are all techie facts that us car enthusiasts love to get our teeth into. How much power is your car? I don't know. But it's Stage 2. Doesn't quite have the same impact, does it? Now, I'm not so, stuck up my own arse that I can't accept that there probably is actually a place for it. I started at the beginning of this video, does it even exist? And on certain platforms, yes it does, and it works quite well. The VAG tuning, the Ford tuning. And actually, if you bring Skylines into it, the new R35 GTR, that actually works quite well. It's a bit of a go-to, people know what is required, you will then get X amount of power. There will always be a point with these stages. Once you exceed a certain stage, it is not a guaranteed power, because then it is in the hands of the person modifying it and tuning it that will then decide the outcome of the power. Once you go for a bigger turbo upgrade, who's to say the turbo's not this big or that big? So of course you're going to get differences there. What I would say is that stage tuning has a place. Does it have a place currently in the Abarth forum? No. Like I said earlier, it needs some continuity for it to actually for it to make sense, for it to work, and at the moment it doesn't. But if you've enjoyed this video, once again it's a different style, but if you did like it, please like, subscribe, and finally comment. See you around.